Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Hang Out with Coach Kerry. My name is Kerry Brown, and I bet you are a solo entrepreneur or service provider that's looking for tips and strategies to help you be more successful in business. And if that's the case, then you are in the right place. We're going to spend 20 to 30 minutes today talking about something that I feel is going to be huge value for you in your business. So make sure you stay right to the very end and know that you can always watch this replay and replays of all the other episodes at HangOutWithCoachKerry.com. You can see right below it says Coach Kerry, spelled Kerry.com. So today I want to introduce my VIP panelists to you and have them tell you a little bit about their business and why you might want to check them out online as well. So Kathy, we'll start with you first. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience today?
Great, thanks Kerry. Thanks for having me on again. Always enjoy these sessions. My business is called Niche Travel, and I specialize in boutique women's tours all over the world for women who want to do something dynamic and adventurous. So you can find me at nichetravel.ca.
Excellent, great, thank you. And Diana, let's tell everybody about you. Oh, Diana, you're still muted, honey.
There we go. Sorry about that. Thank you, Kerry. My name is Dr. Diana Galbraith. My company is First Get Healthy. I'm a former family physician. And what I do is I work with those women who have invested so much time and energy into their families, their business, often at the expense of their own health. I help them get back on track and do it in a way that really fits with their lifestyle. And my key program is an online 101-day email and video program that really empowers and helps women get to that next step. So you can find me at www.onestgethealthy.com.
Excellent, thank you. So today we're going to talk about values, and you might wonder, well, what are values? Why are they important? How are they important in terms of business? So that's going to be our topic for today. And again, I'm going to guarantee that you're going to probably learn some things today that you didn't know. And why I bring these topics up is because I want to be able to support you. I'm a veteran in the coaching world. I've been coaching now for over 17 years, and I bring to the table at least 20 years of sales and marketing experience and helping people achieve success in their businesses. I'm known as the Small Business Expert, and that would probably be you. So, Kathy, why don't we start off with the very first question you want to ask me around this topic of values?
Okay, well, let's just dive right in, Kerry. What are values?
Well, what they are is those things that represent things that are most important to you. They're deeply, it kind of fulfills our deep longing for meaning in the world. They influence you in terms of how you impact the world, and they're very, very personal. Often in our culture, what we'll say is, oh, well, I have a value of honesty and integrity. And I'm going to say those are maybe a cultural value that we have. But I want to talk about today those things that are really important for you. Those things that really do fulfill that purpose, that meaning for you. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be spending a lot of your hours working in your business, and then also along with that, of course, your life. And you want to make sure that there's an alignment with those values that are important to you. And so many of us get caught up in the shoulds and what other people think is important and the people who influence around us. And really what I'm talking about here is you connecting deeply with that piece that's really meaningful to you, to no one else other than you. And so that's that piece around values that I want to talk about today. So again, what are values? It's those things, and we use descriptors for them. Those things that really are meaningful to you, and there's no judgments around them. My values will be different than my two panelists today, possibly. Although I will tell you that sometimes you'll find some common matches in couples, in friends, in people who are associates, because of the fact that they've been attracted to each other. If you have a team, for an example, a few people that you're working with, it's really important for you to understand your values, and then you can discuss with them their values, because you want them to buy into the values that are important from a corporate culture standpoint. That's another key piece, is that there has to be some buy-in to it. They have to understand what are those guiding principles that are guiding the organization. And what you're unable to do is create values in someone. But as long as they understand what it is, then you can get the buy-in. So they know why you're being very purpose-driven, very value-driven as an organization. And it's a word that I know is used a lot today, values, but I want to talk about it in the context of business today, is how you can honor your values. And you will find that the values that you personally have may be a little different than you have in terms of your work environment. I have a high value of inspiration, for an example. And so for me in the work that I do, well, by being able to do what I'm doing right now, which is inspire you to be more successful, inspire you to take some risks, inspire you to step outside of maybe the box where you are, then that fulfills a value for me. And I know that when I'm inspiring someone, if I'm working directly with them one-on-one, that fulfills a value for me. When I get the comments back to me from my audience, and they say that was very inspirational, and thank you so much for all the information you've given, that honors my value. And so that's a really, really key piece for me. Now, I might also inspire in my home life or my personal life, but I'm really clear that in my work life, inspiration is one of my high values, and I work towards constantly honoring that and making sure that in all the work that I do, that there's an opportunity for me to be able to inspire people. So Kathy, I hope that answered your question. Why don't we go to Diana now and have you ask me your question for today.
Thank you, Kerry. That was a great definition of values. So how do you develop these values within your business context?
Well, what happens is, first of all, you will develop them as a person, and so they'll develop over time. So there'll have been various influences, whether it's parents, whether it's teachers, life experiences. You will develop those over your lifetime. So remember, it's that piece of deep longing for you. It's not something you say, oh, that would be a good value, and you kind of pick it off the tree. It's actually something that is very personal and that you've developed from your experience in life. And they will continue to shift and move as you go through life as well. For an example, if you had someone do an exercise around values in their early 20s, they may not necessarily have a value around family from a personal life standpoint. And yet, you ask that person 20 years later when they've got children and maybe the possibility of grandchildren down the road, then they might actually have a high value around family. So that can develop over time. Now remember, there's no judgments in here. So if a person has a family and they say that one of their high personal values may not be family, it doesn't mean that they don't love their family. It just means that in terms of their values and doing things to honor their values for their deep longing will show up under a different comment. It could be community, it could be creativity. So there's a whole variety of examples of different values, and in a way you would be honoring your family still, but not necessarily saying family. There's maybe a bit more of an iteration of that. So it's a little deeper, a little digging deeper to what that really means. So when it comes to the business context, you're still the person in your business. You're still that person who's got a purpose to why you're doing what you're doing. And this all leads to creating that purpose statement, and then will lead to really what your vision is for your business, and it has to come from that internal purpose. So you're going to think about what are those things that are satisfying you in the context of the work that you do. That's really important. And I will tell you that one value is a value for work. You hear lots of stories of people that never retired ever, in fact, but they never felt they probably worked a day in their life because they're doing work that is so meaningful for them that it doesn't feel like work. Well, that would be a person in all likelihood really honoring their values. And they may not have articulated what those words were, but if we did a bit of a values exercise, we would be able to pull that out for them. So again, in the context of your work, you want to be thinking about what are those things that are really that really kind of resonate with me. that I love to do in my business. Some people might call it the passion you have in your business. So the actual actions will be good clues of what your values are. So no one has to force you to do that particular activity because it comes naturally for you. So for an example, Kathy, I might say for you is you probably have a high value of adventure. And adventure maybe not the exact descriptor, because sometimes we can break it down. There might be another one, but let's just use that for an example. Because of the kind of work that you do and your love of travel, that adventure would be a high value for you, and it certainly is for me. And Diana, I don't know, but start thinking about what might be that piece for you that in the work that you do, the work of encouraging and inspiring women to take responsibility of their own health. It could be a value of contribution. For an example, that could be one that your work actually allows you to contribute to the greater society and to a community of people who you have value for. So that's how they develop over time. All of those things. One of the ways to look at it is if you want to do this kind of an exercise, is start thinking about the various activities you've done in your life. What are those things that you did? What are those things that again, no one has to force you to do? That if you had a choice between different magazines at a magazine rack, which one would you pick? And not necessarily from an intellectual standpoint, but just that resonance with you. Well, I know for me, I'd pick out a travel magazine would be one of them, and I know Kathy, that would be for you, and Diana, you would pick up one on health and that. So there are clues that are there. Activities that we've done in our lives, there's some clue that's there. That's there. If you're a highly creative person, then chances are you have a value around creativity. No one has to say to you, you need to go to the studio and paint today. It's just you do it because it's just you're drawn naturally to do it. Unfortunately, what happens for so many of us, because of the influences of family and jobs and other people around us, is that we have not really become attuned to those things that are really important for us. And what happens is we get a little dead inside. We're not inspired. We're kind of just putting one day in, one day after the other. And I believe fundamentally that every single day should be a day filled with magic and new things and new experiences, and kind of squeeze every bit of it out. Well, how do you do that? It's by making sure that your values are being honored in the work that you do. If you haven't created that in that personal and work environment in order to be able to do that. So. Hope that answered your question, Diana. Kathy, another question that maybe has come out of this conversation?
Well, for sure, Kerry. So how do we know when we're honoring our values?
Well, I kind of alluded a bit to this already, but things should be effortless. Again, it shouldn't be something that you're procrastinating, that piece of paper or something is moved around your table that you're avoiding doing. So with it's effortless, with ease, you feel kind of connected. There's that term flow. You might be in the flow. And I think we both, take for a moment, the two of you, my panelists, and for those listening to this, and maybe connect with a time, or remember a time when you knew you were doing something and you kind of felt like you were in the flow. And then ask yourself, look at that activity. And what might be a descriptor, a values descriptor of that particular activity? And there's going to be some clues in there. We can either consciously honor our values, or sometimes we actually have been successful at unconsciously honoring them. It just sort of happens. When I was younger, I didn't know that I had a value of travel, but at 17 years old, I applied to be a Rotary exchange student, and I went off and spent a year in a foreign country in Europe, and that was clearly honoring a value for me of adventure, but I didn't know that that's what it was. Well, now I do. That was a clue for me to go back, and when I was doing this work, to realize that, okay, adventure was one for me. It was a new, exciting adventure. And I've said for many times, if you give me a plane ticket to travel somewhere, unless it's unless it's unsafe there right now, I'll go, because I love that trying new experiences. And to me, that the word I use, the descriptor for that, is adventure. New places, new things, try something new all the time. So again, stop and think to yourself for a moment. Just we'll do a little bit of an exercise here, and the two panelists for you, think of something that maybe if I've identified a value for you, let's look at something that maybe is a little different in your work environment and see if you can maybe have a descriptor around that for just a moment. You know, something that really resonates with you, because that's a clue that you're honoring that value. Okay, so just write something down there so you've got that, because I think that will be an important piece. So, okay, Diana, how about for you? Do you have another question for me?
Yes, you've touched upon this a bit, but maybe you can go into a little more detail of why values are so important.
Well, when we know what our values are, we will. It's really we're going to be pulling the law of attraction to support us. So what'll happen is we'll attract people and opportunities that will honor our values. And so there's going to be a values match that's there. So in a work environment, if you're really clear that, well, we'll use it for an example for me, the value of inspiration. That if I'm really clear that that's one of my values and the work that I do in the world, then, and when I'm clear on that, then I'm going to be attracting clients to me who wish to be inspired. That's something that they want. They want to be inspired. They want to be motivated. And so I bring that to the table for them. So there's a match that's there. So you're going to, so again, people, opportunities, experiences, things will happen to honor those values because, of course, what you're doing is you're stating that intention out there. So again, we use law of attraction, and that question is, what do you want? Well, I want to honor my values. I want opportunities, I want people, I want experiences that are going to continue to honor my values. And things will move forward more easily as a result of that. So when it comes to a business context, if you have decisions to make, you know, every single day we're being pulled at from many different directions. There's always the next shiny thing when you're in business, of course. And if you have your set of values by which then you can judge or weigh a decision out against it. Is this going to honor my values or is this not? And again, we're not talking about, you know, honesty, integrity, truthfulness, those types of things. But we're really talking about what are those things that you can, if you've identified those, your top ones, then you can look at every opportunity and be able to say, does this honor my values? What is it providing for me that is going to fulfill me? Because at a certain point, if you're doing activities over and over and over again that are not honoring your values, you're going to start to lose your energy. It's going to become a negative for you. You may then self-sabotage. You're going to procrastinate a lot. You won't pick up the phone. You won't do the activities. So you have to find a way for you to honor those values. So let's say there's a particular task that you might not like to do. And you know, in our businesses, there's lots of activities that often, well, we know there's ones that we're energized to do, so there's some clues there what those values are, and then there's things that are a bit more of a struggle or take a little bit more effort. Really identify those and see if there's a way that you can shift your perspective on that activity to make it so that it does honor one of your values. So off the top of my head, I'm going to make something up here for an example. So let's say I was struggling with posting, writing blogs. Because for me, the perspective might be in that context of writing the content for blogs, is that it feels like work, it feels like slowing down, you know, whatever might be the perspective. So I have to unpack that and figure out what that is. Now, if I looked at it and I said, okay, is there a way that I can actually look at writing that blog that it's a sense of adventure? That maybe I'm going to explore something, or maybe there's a way in which I'm going to be diving into something deeper that's going to make me aware of something that I wasn't aware of before. I'm going to experience something new in that context. And I know that might be a bit of a stretch in this blog context, but this was off the top of my head. But that would be a way for me to say, oh, okay, here's how I can honor that value around adventure. More likely, though, I might say, oh, a value around inspiration. If I actually looked at writing blogs as an opportunity for me to be able to inspire, and even though it isn't face-to-face, but it's honoring that value of inspiration, don't you think it would be much more exciting for me there'd be a greater chance for me to do the work that I have to do, to write content, to do things, if I feel like I'm being an inspiration and it's honoring that value for me? Well, I think the answer to that would be self-evident. The answer would be yes. So what I want to challenge all of you this week for your sort of your coaching tip here is to think about, what are my values? And there's obviously on this episode we're unable to go into the depth of giving you the actual exercise to be able to do that. But really do some work around honoring discovering what your values are, asking yourself, am I honoring them on a personal and a professional basis? If the answer is yes, then great, yay. And if you say, well, and that should mean that there's there's not a lot of struggle in your business, that things are flow, you're feeling highly energized. If there's areas where maybe you say, gee, I'm still struggling a little bit in this, or I have an opportunity or a decision to make, really use your values as being that mirror to determine whether it's the action you take, or how can I shift things so that my values can be honored in this, and then that's going to make me feel more inspired to be able to do that work. So, Kathy and Diana, I'd love to hear your kind of aha that you're taking away for you personally today from this topic around values.
Well, I would say for me, Kerry, your off the top of your head example was perfect, because one of the things that I do struggle with is my blogging. And when I'm on a tour and I'm blogging from the tour, it's easy because I'm inspired and it's exciting. When I'm sitting at my desk at home, I do struggle with that. So I can see taking what you're talking about, what my values are, and being able to get a little bit more excited about doing that. So thank you. That was great.
Good. Excellent. And how about for you, Diana?
I think your comment on making decisions, because that can be a struggle for me. And so reviewing what are my values and what best answer to this decision fits with my values. I think that was really, really key for me, and making the decision process that much easier.
Excellent, great. Well, and this is one of the key pieces. So many people set goals for a year and then they wonder why they don't move forward with them. Well, they haven't really taken into consideration how do their goals match where their values are. So, in my upcoming program, Strategy Map, we're going to be doing a deep exercise on values, because until you've done that, setting goals in isolation, well, first of all, you need to know where you're going, so you do have to have those goals, but the piece around that is, are these goals actually honoring my values? Are they part of my purpose? How do they fit in with my vision? And all of that. So these values are really a key piece, and I think very underrated in terms of finding our internal inspiration, our internal motivation to be able to move things forward. So thank you for your ahas, and I hope that the audience today, that you've had an opportunity to be able to listen to that, and that maybe there's something that resonated with you. If you have, please comment when you go to the website, HangOutWithCoachKerry.com. There's an opportunity for you to be able to comment under the videos, and please do that at any of the videos that you watch. I'll be interacting with you. I'd love to hear your comments and thoughts and your takeaways from any of the episodes. And while you're there, don't forget to grab my copy of my book, How to Get Out of Overwhelm and Accelerate Your Results Now. Some great tips and strategies. You'll be able to read it in maybe 20 to 30 minutes maximum, depending on if you want to slow down and take some notes. So please do grab a copy of that. So again, thank you so much for allowing me to honor my value today, which is to be an inspiration for you. Thank you so much, my panelists, for being on the call today, and look forward to hanging out with you all again next Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Talk to you soon, everybody. Thanks.
Thanks, Kerry.
Thanks, Kerry.
Bye-bye.